You call this as a special meeting, as opposed to what would be the normal meeting. So typically, the burden and standard for calling a special meeting would be an item, maybe two, on an agenda that would have a time sensitivity that would need to be dealt with before the standard meeting occurs. Technically, that's why it is special. There's a special circumstances. So my question is, we have another meeting scheduled in 7 days, which would be the regular meeting of this body.
Right.
My question is, which items on the agenda, as we talk about pulling them out, are of the time-sensitive nature that would rise to the level of requiring a special meeting, and which one of these could be and probably should be handled at the regular meeting on the 17th?
Well, I'm a dummy.
Mr. McClure?
Did he drop? I wonder about that beat.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, he didn't beat.
Did you hear the question asked?
I'm going to repeat it so I can make sure it's kind of hard to hear. I have my phone turned up all the way. I think you were asking about why a meeting is a special meeting or a regular meeting and the sensitivity requirements of both. That was your question, right?
Yes, as was presented in the recent meeting in town, which I unfortunately could not make due to the notice of the last minute, it was indicated there the special meeting should be focused on a specific special item, and typically, as I recall, as I'm told, it should be maybe 1 or 2 items that cannot be delayed to a normal meeting. Does that make it clear for you, sir?
Yeah, I understand the question.
Good.
Generally, a special meeting is any meeting other than a regular meeting. That heightened standard that you just described isn't in the Open Meetings Act. There's nothing that specifies it has to be time sensitive or pressing. So if a meeting was called and it was called, it was following appropriate procedure. I think what you're kind of hinting at is an emergency meeting, which does have a sense of urgency, and that is to handle, loss of life or property or certain types of topics that are impractical to wait for a special or emergency or a regular meeting. But the agenda that I saw, I believe the was posted was sufficient for the meeting today.
Okay. Thank you for your clarification, sir.
I have a question, Mr. McClure. Can you hear me?
I can.
This is Todd. I received an email from Mr. Collette, the secretary, at 11:33 today, so 2 hours before the meeting started, that due to some technical issue, I got notified a little late, which isn't a big deal. But it seems to me that the main body of the question, which you're in the email about the attached document that you requested. So if the board has a legal opinion about this, it's all about item agenda J for the presentation concerning members' fees, service fees. I assume it's just misspelled, and subscription fees. It's my understanding of this email that item J, or I'm sorry, item I was going to be moved. By reading this email, it looks like that was going to be moved to the top of the agenda, and we would discuss that first. Is that correct?
However you all want to conduct your meeting, whatever order you want to take it in.
It doesn't matter what order.
Well, because of this email, I think we should address item I first thing off the bat, because that's what was told to me 2 hours ago that we would do. So I would love to give the presentation about the membership fees, service fees, and subscription
I haven't
fees.
seen it, so I can't comment on it.
Okay, is that what you guys want to do next? If that's what we're doing, I can hop in.
That,
I don't know blaming you. I'm saying I haven't seen the email.
is that okay with you, Mr. Chairman? Can we go straight to I and give the presentation on the fees?
All right, let's get on with it.
Okay. Now,
People got jobs.
exactly. So my question is, I have a presentation for that agenda item, and apparently I just found out that Crystal and is it Chad
And Marcus.
and Marcus have a presentation. Would y'all like to present first, or would you like me to present first? I'm more than happy to do whichever way you prefer. Okay, I'll go first.
Pardon me, could I get one more item of clarification? I'm sorry for being this way, but it appears to me that I just want to be clear on this. Item B and item I, I'm not seeing a discernible difference in those 2 items. I'm just making, is there a difference between those 2 items that I'm not understanding, or will this discussion satisfy both?
On B, okay.
They're separate items.
There are they? Okay, that's fine. I'm just clarification. Thank you very much for that.
We were looking for legal advice.
No politicking, Todd. That's a point of order.
That election's over. That's not politics. I'm just using the poster board. Did we get that?
Yeah, for the record, I was make sure.
Well,
So,
I'll be damned.
so Shane thinks, and your indication is, and I'm fine, that they are separate items. Do they need to be discussed in order, as in B and I, or is there a reason to have 17 things in between them, or 13 or whatever that number is?
Are you asking that of me?
No.
Sorry.
They're separate items, and we'll take them as they come.
Okay.
Okay, so we're discussing it. I, correct?
Todd, can I show this here, or do you want? Because I can't zoom in that far.
Yes, ma'am. You can
Use
show
this.
her. I've texted you the pictures so that you can add it to your video later
Okay.
on. Everything's supposed to be live, totally
Oops.
transparent,
Sorry.
all the questions out there. So
Upside
the
down.
presentation on item I about the membership fees, service fees, and subscription fees. The reason this house is packed today because we have two choices in this fire district. One big fire department to go over, for the city of Hochatown is incorporated, as you all know, a couple years ago. They're building a fire department. Currently, today, they've already hired a fire chief. It was reported on one of the websites that fire chief resigned, but that was old news. They do have a fire chief, starts the 21st. They have a tax base, as people here have pointed out a lot of times. They promised to build a fire department ever since they tried to incorporate. They've said it over and over and over again. They're trying to fulfill that promise to build a fire department. They're gonna build a fire department, period. Like I said, they've hired a fire chief, they're ordering fire trucks, it's a done deal. There's no dollars that cost for them to do it, it's tax dollars. They've got millions of dollars. Everybody here has at one time or another complained about the millions of dollars that the city of Hochatown is taking in on taxes, and what do we have to show for it? Well, they've been working hard, in my opinion, to get the fire department, police department built up. So it's not gonna cost any more money than taxes have already paid for. It's gonna lower that ISO rating, and which lowers your insurance costs. Currently, the city, this big red box, is this fire district. The Hochatown Volunteer Fire Department Association is this box.
You have an inaccuracy there.
Well, when I'm done, you can point out any inaccuracies you want. This is 259 running through the city. I know I'm just a third grade drawer. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's 259 running through here. The colored area is basically the city limits of Hochatown. This fire district goes all the way to the middle of Broken Bow Lake, all the way over to the Glover River. Sherwood Fire District is north of us. That's basically our boundary. The map I handed out that you have in your hand, you can see better. That's the current fire district at this fire station, and these firemen have been protected for years. I was one of these firemen. When I first moved to town, I was a volunteer fireman here for 3 years. I've answered calls on all these pieces of equipment as well. We've done a great job protecting this community for years. Hochatown now got incorporated. They have millions of dollars of tax. They want to build this entire fire district better. So they have come and said, if you'll dissolve your fire department, this fire station, which is very emotional for a lot of people, I understand that. If you'll dissolve this and turn over all the assets to the city of Hochatown, they are going to pour millions of dollars into this building. They're going to hire all these firemen that want to be hired. They can apply. They can continue to be volunteers. They're going to add new equipment. They're going to build onto the base so that we'll have sleeping quarters here. That's the city of Hochatown's offer to do all
Can
that.
they guarantee that these firefighters will be hired?
Well, I don't know if they'll pass the background check, but if they want to volunteer, and
You
they
can't
have
be
a
a
clean
firefighter
background,
without
then
that.
yes, there's no reason they
I
couldn't
don't
be.
want no backdooring going on.
I will fight tooth and nail that any of these guys that are currently volunteers and they want to be a volunteer with the city has said they would take them in a heartbeat. Yes, Greg. Thank you for that
I'm
question.
supporting them so much.
I agree.
Whatever they want is what I want.
I agree, but this is for the whole county, not just this small area.
Understand.
The McCurtain County Firefighters Association supports this plan of letting the city. So the majority of the firefighters in the county that have gone to the county commissioner's office and spoke about it, they've come here and spoke about it, they support this. Well, if you don't like it, that's fine. I'm just giving you the facts of they support letting the city, they've got the money, they've got everything they need dissolve this district, turn the assets over to them, and build one big huge department. If we don't do that, and they're about to make a case for why we shouldn't, and I want you to listen to their side, and if you like their side better, great. They're gonna come in here and show you, they've got on the agenda, they're about to show you how they're gonna fund the fire department, where they're gonna get the fees from, and they feel like having two departments is better, and maybe it is. You get to decide, you're the McCurtain County residents. But the fact is everybody that lives inside this city limits, they are about to have a fire department by the city of Hochatown, and they are not gonna ask you to pay any fees, and all of the people that live in here, why would they give this department money? Why would they give a $100 subscription fee when they've already paid these crazy amount of taxes, and the city is gonna build them a department that they need? That's your two choices. Now, they're gonna stand up and argue why you need a second fire station. I just wanted you to have the facts. I'm tired of all the name calling. We're not being truthful, we're not being honest. The lawyer's here today, we're all putting it out on the table. There's your choice. Thank you very much for your time. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
that is not what we were presenting.
Ma'am, you're not on the agenda, you're not.
Called a
Okay,
point of
okay, I've
order.
got a
She
point
just-
of order. I'm in control of this meeting and I will stay in control of it. So we got a point of order right here, right now.
Yes, we do. The
Point of
Yes,
order.
Okay,
There now. We
So
ain't gonna
the-
have all this.
number I, 5I was presentation. Okay, so since you brought it up, let me ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
You just said, thank you, Jimmy. You just said that the city is going to do a fire department.
Yes,
How are
ma'am.
they staffing the fire department?
Well, they just hired a fire chief. He starts in a few days.
Okay,
And then they're gonna be looking for a building to buy, and then hire firefighters. It all depends on this meeting today. If we dissolve this department and turn this asset over to them, they can move in and start adding onto this building in a month or two. If we don't,
Okay,
then they're
so-
gonna have to do it from scratch.
let me gently remind everybody that on December 9th in the special BOCC meeting, that your mayor, your first mayor, stated in the meeting, when asked how she was gonna do this fire department, and I'm quoting, at 29 minutes and 52 seconds, she stated, she was asked by Robert Beck, would it be a combination? Diane replied, said, we are thinking yes, a paid chief, and then volunteers. Then if we have to add more, we will add more paid firefighters. Then we will figure it out.
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay, so did you just not hear what I said?
I heard exactly what you said, and that's exactly what
That
they're doing.
she planned, she stood in that meeting and stated that these would be volunteers.
And a paid fire chief, and then we might add firefighters. That's exactly what they're saying. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna get back on track here with 5I.
Okay, there we go.
Presentation by 5I is concerning membership fees, service, and subscription fees. Presentation, Chad and Crystal.
What he presented on, we have to give a caveat. That is not what we were asked to present on. We were asked to present on how did the difference come with the dues, the subscription fees, the billing fees. We were not asked to talk about what a plan was for this fire department. So that information, we did not know that Todd was presenting either. Nobody told us that. So we weren't prepared for that.
It's on
So
the agenda.
point of order, I mean.
Okay, I have a point of order here, and we will get back to the order of the meeting in which I'm choosing.
So we can present the information that we
We'll
were.
get back to you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we have 5, and we're gonna go to 5C and L. 5C and L is pretty much the same. 5C states discussion, consideration, and possible action concerning the bid on Idabel firefighting equipment. When you take a look at L, it's discussion, consideration, and possible action concerning submitting a sealed bid to Idabel Fire for fire equipment in an effort to lower ISO. So we're gonna go with C first. We're gonna take C, and Chad, you can enlighten us on all of this, I'm correct?
I can.
Okay, go ahead.
They have a piece of used equipment. It's an 18-wheeler with a trailer-pulled tank. We took a look at that, and that's really not very conducive to Hochatown. The roads are already so small, the terrain's rough. Getting an 18-wheeler into a neighborhood to a cabin, that's just not going to work for us here. So we decided, or asked the board not to consider putting in a bid on something that really can't be used in this district.
Okay. Go ahead, Don.
My misunderstanding, so the motion here would be to take no action on items C and L. Is that correct?
Correct.
Based on staff recommendation?
Yes,
Correct.
With noting in the motion and the minutes as well that the reason we are not putting in a bid on this truck is because it is not suitable for our area and our roads.
Why is it even on here?
Well, they didn't know it was a sealed bid that came last minute.
Okay.
They had to put it on there. Now that they've had time to look into it, they decided it won't help us.
So we didn't know what the apparatus was.
Right.
We just needed to get in front of the pitch,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Vice Chair, I move the motion that we accept the recommendation that the staff has presented and not submit a bid on the apparatus
I
from the
second
Pineville
that
Fire
motion.
Department, and thank them for including us in their bid process.
Okay. So I have Don motion, Todd second. Roll call is Johnny's, yes. Shane,
No, not, yeah.
Don,
To clarify, sir, you are a yes on this?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Todd,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes, ma'am.
Motion passed.
motion carries. Okay, so let's go down to 5M. Update on grant from Tourism Board. Crystal?
Yes, ma'am. We presented a grant opportunity, looking for a side-by-side to the tourism board. They had a special meeting, well, a meeting that they look at grants in, March. And they liked the presentation and they were in favor of doing it, but they needed a legal opinion, and the legal opinion from the district attorney, Mark Matloff, came back that they could not use those funds to purchase a side-by-side for us, so we will have to go back out and look for some more grants
Okay,
and see what we can do.
okay. Thank you for that update.
You're welcome.
Okay. So then we're moving on to 5Q.
Excuse me, Chairman, I motion that we accept the report as submitted on item M and file it into the record.
I'll second.
Johnny's, yes. Shane,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Greg.
Yes, ma'am. Why am I always last?
If you
Save
run
the
meeting,
best
you
for
can go whatever
last.
order you want.
Well, I suppose.
Okay, so we're moving on to 5Q. Update on reimbursement from insurance from the recent lawsuit. Chad,
Yes, ma'am.
update on the reimbursement from the insurance.
That came in the mail today.
Okay, for those of you that are not sure what's happened there, the attorneys had double billed on some things when we done an internal audit on it. If they had double billed actually on some of their fees. And so we had went in there, we have spoke with our insurance company, they went in there and audited, we went in there and audited, we've come to terms that they have double billed, and we are requesting this money back, and some of it is already on its way.
Which attorney's double billed? Which side?
The Abney,
Riggs Avenue.
Griggs Abney,
So it was the board's attorney at the time double billed?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Not uncommon when you have insurance.
But not uncommon at all.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing nefarious. It's just
Yeah,
one of those
right,
things.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay,
That was nothing on our part.
okay. So moving along to,
Move motion to receive report on item Q, please.
I'll second it.
okay,
We'll do
Johnny's,
this. Go to the vote.
yes. I'm sorry, guys, I have a really sore throat, and so, all right, Shane,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes, but not least, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we're gonna move right along to 5E, discussion and consideration and possible action with Crystal Jocelyn related to public relations, social media posts by board members, and presentation by board members at the BOCC town and other public meetings. Okay, Crystal?
Okay, so we've had, as Todd stated earlier, there's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of things being said on social media, people going to board meetings, BOCC, there's been some very passionate information on both sides, and but what I'm here today about that I believe needs the board to step in and one, y'all need to work together as a team, and there's some things that need to calm down because the leadership starts with y'all. But there's some things that I've run across through open meetings and open records and deep dive researches. Everything that I'm saying right now is not as a volunteer. I've obtained nothing through this part as a volunteer. Everything has been through legal causes and actions and attending meetings or going to going through open records.
What,
So,
open records with this department?
many departments, this department and others. Yes,
But we're only concerned about this department here, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And that's all that you're gonna hear today, is
Right.
yours. Okay. So, we are going to, as Todd would like us to do, peel back the layers and find those crystals of truth, because that is what he has been posting, that he wants is that truth is gonna come out. So, I have been researching this for a while, and there are a couple of questions that I would like to ask too, because there's been these postings about how many emails have been bombarded, how many people have been very upset about the dues and the fees and the behaviors and the actions. So Mr. Pill, can you tell us how many emails you've received from those upset folks in the last couple of days?
Just emails or phone calls and
Emails,
texts and
because
everything
that's
else?
what you were posting, telling everybody to email here or email that you.
I asked people to email. I never said that I got a lot of emails or a few emails. Did I make a comment about how many emails I'd received?
I'm asking, how many did you get?
It's public. The comment I said, I'm more than happy to answer anything I said online.
Okay, can you tell us how many emails you received?
Sure.
Okay.
About what topic or just in general?
People being upset about membership fees and this board operating illegally, because that was one of the things you posted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 8 or 9.
Okay, so I got open meeting and open records yesterday with your email through this department from that time, and you had 4 that were upset, and I have them, and you had 1 that was upset about Hochatown overall and all the fees and the taxes and the behaviors, and then there were posts online that even talked about TMU rates, because $35 for a membership with all that we have to do with this department is considered a TMU rate.
Okay.
So Leslie Tate asked about this increase from $35 to $100,
Yep.
and that's considered a resident, so nothing changed for her. It's $35. Nobody changed dues. Nobody changed anything to do with membership.
For that particular question, did I disagree that that's nothing changed
I don't
for her?
know. I am just addressing. I'm addressing.
I thought you
because-
were asking me.
No, I said, I asked you how many, and now I'm giving you the presentation that goes to back up whether what you've been posting
Okay.
is true or not. So, Leslie Ross asked questions. She wants to keep her membership. And I've been at every meeting, and I have not heard anybody lose their membership. Clarification on the voting eligibility.
You said you haven't heard of anybody losing their membership?
Mm-mm.
Is a membership mean they have the right to vote?
Yes.
So you haven't heard of anybody that has
Anybody
lost their
who
right
paid-
to vote in this association?
If they pay membership dues, they get to vote.
Thank you. That's on the record. Great.
That's been on the record.
Okay,
Nobody
great.
did anything different with that. but that's not what was posted.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Walters asked, kind of went through a little history, which is a perfect history, and then just said that she'd sent payments and let us know if there's anything else she needs to do, and she wanted to know about bylaw changes. There's been no bylaw changes yet, and that bylaw not being changed at this point in time was because the attorney said, don't change anything yet because y'all want to meet with the town, and if y'all are going to merge with the town or do anything else with the town, you would be wasting money doing bylaw changes, and the attorney is on there and he can verify that he said that.
I agree 100%. So then my question, if that's true, why did last week we send out, the fire department sent out the fire service subscription?
If you'll let me finish my
fees?
presentation,
Okay.
because it's a presentation, not really a discussion.
Okay.
Then when y'all get to that discussion item,
Point of order.
Okay, so the subscriptions and the bylaws, those forms, we will explain when we get to that section, but that wasn't what we were asked to present on with the two plans. That's
Okay.
not- okay. So you asked the attorney questions. You said publicly, and you have posted that you believe that this board, the 4 people who were here for that last meeting, did things illegally and not with what the attorney advised, and yet you yourself, because you've said you don't believe that people should quote the attorney and what the attorney said, but you posted online those very words.
Which very words?
He has not yet given his legal opinion on this matter. You spoke to him, so you're quoting him.
I'm quoting the
He has-
attorney, that he has not given a legal opinion.
But when they did that, when they quoted the attorney, you found fault with that.
They didn't quote the attorney, and I have a letter from the attorney.
I'm presenting.
I have a letter
I'm
from the attorney
presenting.
saying that very thing.
Point of
Mr.
order.
Peel,
Point of
I'm
order.
presenting.
Okay.
We didn't interrupt you when you presented.
You're right, I apologize.
Thank you. The hired chief, yes, maybe they just recently hired one, but they also just recently accepted a resignation from one because they had had one before and then they didn't, and then they did, and now they do. Okay, so great, they've got one. Here's the one who said they've got properties in Oklahoma City and they're paying $100 or more. $35 for a membership or a fee for trying to support a department that's doing 614 calls and taking care of all the needs. That is a slap in the face, and it is unrealistic. Look at the equipment. All y'all have to do is look at the equipment. Number one, it's old. Clark, there's some of this equipment that's been here since you were here, right?
This particular one, the only one that my wife wrote the grants on was the 3 big trucks that you have.
Yeah.
And I signed the note on that little truck.
That's how old our equipment is.
Yes.
$35. Prior to this past year, we were at $12 a year. And not everybody joins. That's what you need to understand. People who want to vote join, but not everybody joins. So the alternate to that was to begin a fire subscription service, which is what Perkins and Stillwater and other places have. Don helped us do a little bit of research with that, and he was the one who made some motions on how much he thought fees should be. He also is a member in Perkins with his other his other location. So these fees were not out of line, but what they were for was to help this department be successful, to help them have equipment that can come rescue you or rescue your family or rescue the tourists that are coming in that are staying in those STRs. They are doing all of those things, and they're doing it with subpar equipment because people are not supporting them. But they are busting their butts, and that is not what you presented. That's not the picture that you presented. You've been here exactly 31 days on this board.
I've been a member since I moved here in 2019.
That's fine, and I'm still talking. It's still my presentation. Okay?
Then quit
But
addressing
you,
Point of
me.
order. Point of order.
so they have
A
been
lot more than before it's over.
what?
Point of order.
Sorry. You told John Williams that you were going to try to work with the board. And the very first board meeting, you came in and you accused our guys of not playing well in the sand.
Correct.
You need to understand that that's not the case. Hochatown's getting a rap because of me, because I have been on the county. They have been coming after Hochatown through me, and I have that in writing. So they are threatening Hochatown's fire department because I have done research to find out where the county money is going. When Sherwood and Shinewell and others are sitting with $600,000 in their accounts, and they've run 1 to 5 calls in a whole year, and we get the same $6,000 to $8,000 a month that everybody else gets, there's something wrong with that. We serve more and we do more. But that's not what you presented, because you haven't asked the questions and you haven't sat down with these gentlemen and these ladies and said, how can I help you, or what do we need to do? And so you've gone out and you've said these things, and you told him on March the 10th that you were going to do what was best for this district. But here's your post on February the 4th where you already said, give the fire department over.
That's what's best for the district.
That's not what you told him you were going to consider. You told him, and I was there when you did it, that you were going to do what was best, but you would come in and you would work with them and find out the plan, and that's not what you've done. We have people who have come out publicly and said there are other issues, right? There's all this money, there's all this plan, we've been told. Our mayor had said, we have got the money and we were going to do this. This has been what our promise has been for more than 2 years. But to wait 2 years and then to come in and try to take this fire department, who has faithfully served for those 2 years without the support, without the extras, when money has been pouring in, and they could have done a lease grant, they could have done a gift, they could have done a lot of different things, and they have done nothing but empty promises. But then you've stepped up and you have defended them. $3 million on county roads. The county should take care of roads, and y'all should take care of this local area. But that's not what's been done. That's her statement, and it was online. We have had an opportunity. We have had grants that have come in, but we don't have the matching funds. We could have already lowered. We have had on this docket, it was approved by the board back in June, July, and August to buy new equipment, and we have some grants that can match that and get us an instant. They've talked to the ISO lady. If we had those 2 pieces of equipment, the first piece of equipment lowers the ISO from an 8 to a 6. The second one lowered it to a 4. We could have done this a year ago if we didn't have people fighting against helping us raise the funds to take care of it. We have a gun raffle going on right now, and that's how we have generally raised extra cash, is these guys have gone out with boots in the community. They've gone to fireworks shows. They have put in the work to raise the money to serve the community instead of the community helping to serve them so they can serve the community. This is the person who is just upset about a lot of different things. And I get it. I live here. I'm upset about a lot of different things too, because we were promised a lot and we haven't had it. You've taken over some departmental functions too. You're a board member, Mr. Peel. Departmental functions are sending these emails out. If they were already a member, they sent it to them. If they weren't a member, they didn't have their email address, and they would get it.
So what is it I did wrong here?
That's not your job to send out subscription and emails. That's the department takes care of that.
I'm sorry,
You're in
Homer. I
oversight.
shouldn't have sent you that. I apologize.
Point of order.
Point of order.
You didn't send it to him. You sent it to Homer Brown.
That's Homer right there.
Okay.
Point of order.
Okay. But that should have come from the department so they can track it, so they'll know where they need. So you've stepped in a lot of different areas that are not your position, not your job, not your oversight.
Excuse me just a moment. Can I have a point of order right here, please? Thank you.
Quoting and misquoting the attorney. You call out another board member on social media. That's not professional. They haven't called. She didn't call you out. There's been times that they probably all could have, would have, should have called one another out, and they haven't been doing that. Even during the lawsuit, Shane never called anybody out. I call people out all the time, but that's my job, and I'm not a board member. I can do that. I'm a citizen. So calling people out, not okay. That makes us all look bad, because You said you were going to help calm the drama. That didn't calm any drama, because obviously I'm sitting here, so there's more drama now. Advertised. You contacted the attorney. This was a part of open records, and the reason it is not part of the client confidentiality with an attorney is because Mr. Peel forwarded it to someone else, and I will share that with you. So that made it an open record. Okay? So you asked him about contacting more than one person at a time, and yet you sit right after this, because that was on 3/18. You sent emails including Shane and John East in your email, creating a quorum.
Can I just make a note here?
Yes, ma'am.
On these emails that have been sent to me when there was a quorum, that is the exact reason you're not getting a response, because you sent it in a quorum and I can't respond because it is a quorum.
So
I have emails as well.
Okay, where's the email I sent in a quorum?
Right, there's one right there. Here's another one. This time you included Don and Greg. And then this time you included, oh no, I'm sorry. There was three. There were two that were Shane and John East, and one that was Don and Greg. Even though the attorney who you reached out to answered your question in writing, and then you created a quorum. They're not falling for it. They are very good at trying to stay on track and not do something illegal. And that just, here's the other one for Todd. Todd to Shane and John East about and when was that? That was about today, but it was 2 days ago. And you can see all of these are stamped because they all went through the official, that's that stamp, they all went through the official records.
I'll give you all of them. I don't care.
I have them. Then you've got Daniel. Y'all asked, why did you postpone the meeting? Why did the annual membership meeting get recessed? Everybody wanted to know that. Daniel's still on the phone. Here was his answer, and y'all had that answer before or not y'all, not you, Don. Todd. This is from Todd's email. Todd had this answer and still asked it and put people on the spot as though he didn't know. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't send it to the secretary of the board, who is Shane, so that Shane could send it out and everybody would know what was going on. And that seems to be the common practice from the emails that I have gotten through open records. He sent some information, and then Don, he says this says he sent it to you also. Whether you got it, opened it, you may not have opened it, but it's the exact same email. Okay? And then there's other emails that are shared with Don, but aren't shared with the other board members and aren't sent through a channel. Like, I had a conversation with Greg yesterday, right, Greg?
Yes, ma'am.
And there are things that Greg said knew nothing about it. He did not reach out to Greg at all, and Greg's the chair. So violation of department policies and board policies. There are many policies that have been passed by the previous boards. When Stephanie Hardaway, when Betty Shearer, when Voga, when TC, I don't think there was one that passed when TC was on there, but there have been multiple policies that have been passed. You have to do your research. You can't just come in and do whatever you want in 30 days and tear up a system and then blame people. So their open records policy, you got sent an open records policy and even said, here, I gave you an open records policy and we helped make sure you had bylaws and all kinds of stuff your very first meeting. And then because of that training that y'all were in, a question, I guess, came in because Shane sent, because I got his too, Shane sent emails to all board members. Dawn even responded, I think I'm in the middle of a conversation. I don't know what's going on here. Because there was a question that came in. He didn't know. But Shane had been sending everything to everybody so they got exactly the same information all the time. But there are policies in place in this department for how you use your technology and how you use your email accounts, like there is with any business. This department runs better than any fully volunteer fire department in this county. I have been to all of them. I have requested records. I have researched it, and they function better. They have their records in order. They know where their stuff is. They have policies and procedures in place. These people don't get paid, but they operate like professionals I have never seen before. They have really stepped it up. So I'm going to show you an email in a minute that went to Adam Bosson. So let's move on then.
Where's that email?
Okay, point of order. No, ma'am, it's a special meeting, you're not allowed to speak. It's a point of order.
I just wanna know what
No,
her
ma'am,
objective
no,
is.
ma'am, you can't. No, ma'am, I'm sorry. You can't.
Open records request. Here is an email that Todd sent to Adam in Adam's personal email.
That is not true. That's a lie.
This is your email. This is from you.
That's a lie.
Point of order.
Okay, I can't answer, but it's a lie. If you let me answer, I'll tell you.
It says
That is a
right
lie.
there.
It's
Then
your
let me
email.
answer. That is a lie, and I can prove it right now that it's a lie.
I'll
Will you let me answer? That I can prove right now
well,
it's a lie.
let me show you the rest, and then you can go through all of them,
Okay.
I guess, if the board allows you to do that. Because here's another one.
It's a lie. I'll prove it right now.
Here's another one where board packets, the packet that they have that gets sent to them so they can preview it before they come to a meeting, those packets are not generally distributed to everyone. You usually don't get
That
that
is
stuff.
not true, what you're putting on the screen.
They do not
Point of
usually.
Order.
Hey,
Point of
okay,
order.
I'm keeping track, won't you?
Okay.
Okay.
They usually do not.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, tell me how you can prove those are incorrect.
When I set up my email account, I was told to be careful because people in this department were spying on my email. I put my email on my fire department phone. In order to set up your Apple ID on your phone, you have to have an email address. In order to have an email address that wasn't part of the fire department, I created Adam Vos 1414@yahoo.com. Just a name I made up so that I could send
Wow,
emails
Adam
to
Boston
myself.
is our town
He
administrator.
sure is. That's his name. But I have access
Here
to
now.
his account.
Oh, cut
I
it
set that email up so I could set up my iPhone. That
Okay,
is me.
okay, I have a question.
That is me.
Point of order.
Point of
Point of
No,
order.
the chairman asked me to
Point of
explain how
order.
to prove
Point
it.
of order.
The
Don't
chairman
yell, don't
asked.
yell,
Don't
don't yell.
Hang on.
I'm
Point
doing
of
what the
order.
chairman asked me to
Point
explain
of order,
how I could
please.
prove that this is a lie.
Todd,
I'm
let me
proving
ask
that
this
it's a lie.
question.
I asked him.
Let me ask the question. Where did this email come from?
It came from
Hey, guys.
the open records
Can I
request.
interject?
Sure.
As your legal advisor, I think I might suggest you feel like you might be getting off track of the agenda item and not specifically the item that's on your agenda.
Okay.
If that's the case, we need to make sure we're on track with the agenda
But,
item.
Mr.
deviate.
Mr.
Okay,
McClure,
then we'll
can I
keep
ask you a
going.
question? Mr. McClure?
Yes, sir.
So they've done an open records request on my email, which I have no problem with, but they're implying that I sent an email to the town administrator. I'm trying to explain that Adam Vosen 1414 is a Yahoo email account I created. I have the password for. Adam Vosen has never seen it. I can pull it up on the computer right now.
Okay, so I have.
You assumed it was the town administrator, which you led right into
I've
my
ne-
trap.
No, I've never.
There's no
seen
trap.
this.
Nobody told
Sure
me
felt
it was
like a trap.
No, nobody told me it was there, and yours is not the only emails that I requested. Because you publicly said that you weren't getting information, I requested Shane's email because he's the secretary to make sure things were going. So I
That's
did
fine.
not just get yours, but and then
Well,
I
now you
found
know.
that in there, and I was like, "What in the world is
Now
going?"
you know
Okay,
the truth.
okay. Well, no, I don't know that I know the truth. I know that that's your stance right now, but
Okay, so I am going to ask the question.
Mhm.
Where did that email come from?
it
From my email
came
account.
from his email account here in the fire department. Warren Peel is his HochatownFire.gov email, and he sent that email to Adam Voss 1414 from his fire department email.
Yes, totally. Agree totally with that.
So I'm understanding, if I just understand you just a few moments ago, you created the Adam Voss
Yes,
on purpose.
yes,
On purpose.
yes.
Wow.
Because I was told my email was being spied on. And looky here.
You
It was
created
open
on
records.
purpose.
Yes, I created it on purpose.
I'm sorry, ask the
Okay,
Okay.
keep going.
Okay, so this is the one that gave me open access to the attorney-client privilege, because when you sent that outside of
Okay.
that email, and you have these emails with the attorney, it opened it wide open where it's not attorney-client privilege anymore.
Okay. I waive attorney-client privilege. That's fine.
You don't generally get to do that without speaking to your attorney first. But your
I've
attorney
never
can
been in
advise
this, so
you.
I
You're
didn't
going to
know.
ask him later, I'm sure. But okay, so then let's see what you have to say about this one then, because
I thought I wasn't allowed to comment.
you're not, but you keep doing it anyway. So on your disclosure, your conflict of interest, you did not disclose that you have STRs.
Where was I asked that?
It's asked you if you have any kind of conflicts with decisions you will make about income and things on this board.
Show me the form.
Don put in that he runs a
Show me the form.
property
I think
manager.
I did disclose that. Show me the form.
Okay, here you go.
Mrs. Chairman.
There's
may
your
I interject?
signature.
Yes, hold on a moment. Yes, you may, Daniel.
I just want to remind the board that I'm not ascertaining the connection between the topics being presented and the agenda items. I think I'm going to advise you of that. I may misunderstand the agenda item, but at this point, I'm not sure of the connection to the agenda item.
I'm getting there, Daniel. Give me just 2 more minutes. Todd was removed from the Garland Fire Department
Yes, I
for
was.
cheating on exams and was sued to try to recoup. They had a settlement out of court or whatever, but he was sued because every time he cheated on a promotional exam, he got a raise, and he and 2 other people, and it says in the article, conspired. And that is what it is looking like, is that he is conspiring again, and he is making waves out in the community so that he can get what he wants done versus what is in the best. And he did say, he did admit it, but he did say he would do that. So here's an email where he sent to Daniel asking for the dissolving of HVFD. He did not discuss that in a board meeting. He did not discuss that with all of these board members. But that's not, but he addressed the Board of County Commissioners on y'all's behalf and on their behalf. And then, so he got this wonderful write-up. So there's your other documentation. He is not the designated point person. There's a board that made a motion and decided it would be John East at Board of County Commissioners meetings and Dawn at Hochatown Town Hall meetings, and it would be Greg and John East and Zeb and Chad and Marcus and the attorney to meet with the town of Hochatown, because they were trying to reach out and get with the town and work out a plan. But obviously a plan's been worked out. But notice, nobody on this board and none of these firefighters knew that plan, because no one has invited them or included them in that meeting. That's a conspiracy. Here's that people aren't eating, and you can eat in a public place, and you can eat with the commissioner if you'd like. But when you send an email that says we better do this before Crystal finds out, I found that last night when I was reading 750 emails.
Who's the email to, Crystal?
It's to Adam.
The one I created. It's to myself. I sent an email to myself. Ooh,
It's not what it looks like.
that's exactly what it looks like. I just
Not what it
explained
looks
to
like.
you.
It does not, to the general eye, it does not look like you are sending that email to yourself.
Now they all
Point of
know.
order.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. Oh my God.
Okay, there you go.
I thought we was all done.
So y'all are supposed, and there's the email track, and there's my open records request for Todd's email. Everything's completely on the up and up on our side of it. This board has tried to be transparent, and these firefighters have tried to do the right thing. They've been accused of not being transparent, but you see some things that don't look very transparent. You see some things that look very shady. Who creates an email account to themselves? But here's the thing. I don't know. I didn't look at what date that email was, but It was on the 3rd. So I just saw it last night when I would pick, because I literally picked up all these records last night to see if there was anything I needed, because this was not the original direction of my presentation, because I was hoping that what we were going to present would help us all bond together and work together. But it's hard to work with somebody who clearly is not being trustworthy and not acting on the up and up.
I agree 100%.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we receive Ms. Jocelyn's report and file it into the record.
I second that.
Actually, I'll make a motion that we send. Do you have any more materials besides this, or is there more
Hold
open
on,
records?
hold on, I got a motion on the
No,
floor.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Johnny's, yes. Shane,
Yes.
Don,
On my motion, correct?
yes, on your motion.
I'm making sure where we
Yes,
are.
Yes,
That is a yes.
okay. Todd,
Yes.
Greg, okay. Okay, so we're gonna move right along here to, 5F.
I'm sorry, ma'am, 5F, Frank?
Yes, Frank. Presentation of board conduct, Chad. You have presentation for board conduct?
We were just asking that, you implement a policy similar to what the firefighters have, especially when it comes to things like, social media. You'll notice that none of the firefighters take part in anything online type of argument, because it could look bad on the community or the department. We don't want one person's opinion reflecting upon the whole department of firefighters. So we want to conduct ourselves the proper way in public. And that's that the board also adopts such a program of their conduct.
And this is something that you firefighters already have in place, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a conduct, a rule of conduct.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for the attorney about this board of conduct. Is
Just,
that okay?
just a moment,
Okay.
Don.
Okay, so I'm going to address Chad, if that's all right, Chairman? Okay, so it's my understanding, I would be clear on this, that the firefighters have a document identical to this.
There is a
Similar.
conduct-
Okay, similar, I'm sorry, thank you for the clarification. So at this time, I would like to request that the board be given.
online.
No, I don't disagree. I'm Chad, listen, I'm right there with you. I just want to see what the policy is to be able to compare. That's all I have at this point.
Okay.
Mr. McClure? Are you still there?
He probably fell asleep.
I'm
Daniel,
hardly doubting that.
Daniel,
I'm not going to require further. As to the code of conduct, I haven't reviewed the minutes from when those were adopted, but that's something I'm going to look into time to do so.
Okay, great. I mean, I'm all for a code of conduct. My fear is the way some of the wording in this code of conduct is, it refers to a protection district instead of an association. And I'm wanting to make sure everybody in this room and in this county continues to get a vote. So I think the terminology is making it to where if we changed it to a district instead of an association, I'm worried people would lose their vote on the way we move forward. So I'd want the lawyer to look over this and make sure that that didn't happen.
yeah, Don.
Mr. McClure, I don't mean to interrupt you, sir. Did you have a response to that, or are you quite fine there?
In regards to this, being referred to me for review and an opinion?
Yes, sir, because I have a question for you.
Yeah,
but
I can do that.
I have a question for you, sir, but I did not want to cut you off.
So, go ahead, I can do that. That's no problem if that's what the board would like me to do.
All right, so my question is, as I read these, and I appreciate the effort that went into these, but my question is, would this document be subservient to the bylaws? Meaning, do the bylaw, so you understand my question, sir?
Well, to the assumption that, like, the previous question was, are these the current bylaws? I'm assuming that they are. I've not gone back and checked them.
Assuming that's all good.
Under,
Yes.
correct. Assuming that they're good, then yes, the bylaws would be the superior document.
Okay. So any contradictory or creation of any policies within this code of conduct would need to fall in line with the bylaws as they are written today, and this document would remain subservient to that document.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's, oh,
May I continue, ma'am?
Sure.
Okay. So as I read through this document is presented, and ironically, this document is actually, maybe due to fonts, I'm an old journalism guy, so it could be font size, but this document is actually far greater in pagination than the actual bylaws of the association. Secondary, as we review our way through this, just for consideration points, many of the things that are discussed in here, and I call you attention to number 5, page 2, number 5, board responsibilities under Type 19-351 Oklahoma State statutes. If we intend to enforce that, and I'm not saying we're not, what I'm saying is many of these things need to be incorporated into the actual bylaws, not into a document that would sit second chair to those bylaws. So anything in here that would reference the removal, the discipline, the creation, anything like that that establish the governance and procedures of the day-to-day operations of this organization should be submitted as a bylaw. I'm thinking that the only thing this document should cover would in fact be as an operational definition to what the conduct of an officer of this board and an officer of this fire force should be or should not be doing. I'm not saying I'm against this. What I'm saying is there are clauses and stipulations in this bylaw, in this document as presented today, that actually put it into a superior position of an item in our current bylaws.
Okay. Crystal, you were saying you were part of this presentation?
yeah, I'm sorry. That's why there was those big sections that were highlighted, and that was going to be our recommendation, is send this to, y'all get the attorney to go in and clean it up and do, so there was a lot of groundwork that was done by everybody to try to put it together and bring it forward, but obviously it needs to go to the attorney. There were sections that were highlighted, including like, you know, you highlight things that you know are not right, and then you highlight things that you have no idea about. And so those pages on sanctions and things, those were things that were in other documents that were suggestions, and that does absolutely positively need to go to the attorney so that he can determine, is it part of the bylaw, is it just a policy, how are y'all working it?
Go ahead.
Okay, and I appreciate that clarification. So along that line, as we do move forward, and I do understand that it is a cut and paste document, that is not a criticism, that is an observation. So there is terminology in here, and I believe, as Todd was beginning to point out, there's some places in here where it's referred to an association, some where it says it has to go to the executive director. And so what I'm saying is, as we come through this, my fear, Chairman, was that I was going to be asked to pass judgment and approve or disapprove this document today. Okay, thank you. I'm just clarifying because I'm in no position to do that, and I wanted to be clear that this is a working document and not an adoption on today. With that being said, I will sit quiet on this item.
Anything else, Chad? Okay. So we'll go to G, which is the discussion and consideration and possible action related to the board code of conduct. So this is what goes back to what you just said.
Thank you.
There will be no action taken on that today.
Thank you.
But we can't discuss it, correct?
We can discuss. We just discussed it too.
Well, the only other thing I would add to the discussion is that when we're going to do that, if we're going to have to pay for the attorney to go over this anyways, and we all seem to agree that a lot of it contradicts the bylaws, we've all said 100 times that our bylaws really need to be updated. We might as well just update the bylaws and get all of these questions and all this mess answered once and for all, is my suggestion. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Don?
I want to thank you. I want to refer to. Whoa, I didn't put a notation on who said this. I'm going to go with Crystal, and please forgive me if I'm incorrect. Okay. There was some discussion about the legal advice, and maybe I should be addressing the black box, that we delay the bylaws because of upcoming changes. Was that, I'm sorry, if you didn't make that statement, just tell me.
I did make that
Okay.
statement, and Daniel might want to
Would
speak.
you like me to?
Yes,
say that?
please
All right.
do. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You say yes?
Yes,
Go ahead.
please.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, and I guess I would preface by saying that, on the call here, it's pretty evident that there's a lot of differing opinions in your community and different passions. And so, with that said, I'm kind of respectful of your budget. If you all want me to go through and revise all your bylaws now, I'm happy to do that. I just can realize the bigger question, the elephant in the room, is where are we going as a department? And so, with that said, if we're going to do something with the town, I would be doing all the work, getting everything done, and going back in and having to maybe tweak something. And so, again, I'm happy to do whatever y'all would like. My advice would be, if you're going to go that route, give me a couple of weeks to try to get you a list of ideas. If you're going to try to put ideas on the table so you guys can discuss your future. But again, whatever y'all would like to do. Also, probably worth noting, I just mentioned the city attorney the town attorney for the town reached out to me this morning, and I've known him for quite a long time. And just indicating whenever you guys are ready to have that first conversation, that I could get some ideas on paper. So whatever y'all like to do, that was my position.
So are you suggesting that it might be more financially responsible to just answer the first question of whether we're going to we're going to dissolve the department or keep the department before we start spending money on redoing bylaws? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Now, my wife would disagree because she would like me to have all kinds of money that we can blow. No, I'm just kidding. But
I agree with.
I think it's prudent to for me to be respectful of you all. Yes.
I think
that's.
that's.
Give me a couple of weeks. Let me have a talk with their attorney. Then I can get you a list of all the options that we can hypothesize, and then bring them back to you. And then you guys say, go option 3. Go get that idea flushed out.
That's
what I would
fantastic.
suggest.
I think that's
But
great.
that is the exact reason, Daniel, as we spoke with you in the past, that's the exact reason that these bylaws, that we've been wanting them changed, but that's why there's been a delay in them, is because of considering the budget, and there's no sense in changing something and then turn around and changing it again. So that's
Correct.
that's
That's
been
what I'm-
the complete reason for the delay in the bylaws.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, the take no action, are you still good with that, Dawn?
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Okay,
No, I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
okay.
I'm leading that parade, I'm good.
Okay, so we're moving on to, 5I. Presentation concerning membership fees, service fees, and subscription fees. Chad?
Anything up there? Okay, that's, we kept the $35 a year membership as we always did. The only thing that had changed, was in the past meeting, I believe the board did the 100, for STRs, 200 for commercial, and 35 for 501c3s, I believe.
Yeah, it's right there on the bottom.
Right there. So the 35 for a residential non-STR property is still the same as it always has been, and it's considered the membership.
So that's my question about the STRs paying $100 and not getting a vote. How is that legal? That was my question to the attorney that Crystal brought up earlier. And since the attorney's here, he can explain that to us. That doesn't appear to be legal to me.
Daniel?
Okay, so let's talk about the bylaws. I think someone mentioned earlier that they're maybe not the most well-written document out there, so I would concur with that. I would draw your attention to section 1 and section 2 of the member qualification and dues section. I'll just read it, and everyone probably doesn't have a copy in front of them right now. Section 1 states that membership shall be open to all residents, land, business operators located within the area served by the association. There's no commas in there, by the way, so it's kind of all running together. The next line, it says, property covered by an individual membership shall be limited to a single resident, comma, inclusive of all outbuildings, comma, or business location. And so, again, it's kind of a, well, it's not kind of, it's not a well-written sentence, it's kind of confusing, but the way I'm reading it, it looks like it's saying a single residence inclusive of all outbuildings or a business location, like one or one. The question then becomes if you have, you know, a facility, if some person has 50 businesses, does that $135 cover 50 businesses? I don't think that'd be the case. I don't think that's the intent of your bylaws. But all of this can be clarified by the board just clarifying what the bylaws is. But as of now, it looks like it's residence and including its outbuildings or a business location is a membership.
Okay.
Ron, go ahead.
Okay, and maybe we're going to get to this, but the crux of the issue that I have with this, and this is what I'm seeking clarification for. I'm in favor of the due structures as we presented it. Those of you in the meeting know that it's exactly, I'm in line. That is not my question. My question is that as we have created, we have attempted, or at this moment, the documents that we have put out have created a duality of membership. One, as I read it, and if I'm wrong, in order to be a voting member as proposed, it is not in the bylaws right now, by the way, as we have proposed it, to be a voting member, one must reside within the city, within the fire district, within the district. That, Mr. McClure, I think, and I'm asking, is in direct contradiction to the bylaws as they are written today, where the section talks about membership and voting is implied with that membership under the current bylaws. There are two issues, so I'm going to stop and pause there. Is that an accurate statement?
Your bylaws state, and I'm going to narrow it down here, we'll answer directly. Membership is open to all residents, land, business operators. That's the phrase says.
And as a membership, does that imply voting right under the current bylaws?
If you qualify under section 1, then you are a member. And you're going to go to voting rights, which is at the top. I'm going to go up here.
Article 4.
Article 4, yeah. Residing or owning property and served by the association is the voting rights. That's under Article 4.
And we would agree that 4 and 2 are in concurrence.
Agreed. I think there's also maybe a caveat to your question that we're not expounding upon, that being, is it possible for someone to choose to be can they choose to get, I think what you call subscription fees, is that what you guys call them?
Yes.
Okay. Could someone choose to have a subscription fee and forego membership? I don't see why not. Like, that would be their choice. And so I glanced at the fee schedule since, I think, recently, I forgot what day it was. So I'm not seeing, I can be wrong here, but it looks like you could choose to be either one, and in which case I don't think you have a problem. I think the question then becomes, what do you do about someone who's got 40 properties? Well, I don't think they get 40 votes. I think section 1 is talking about a person or a member.
Okay, I want to come back to that in a second, please, if I could. But as I understand it, one of these, if you pay the $100, you get to vote. No,
So you don't get to vote.
you don't get to, okay, so you don't get to vote unless you live in the fire district. Is that what these propose? That's, as these are written,
Do you want to
it's up
say?
to her, she's chairing the meeting.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so, no, that was not the intent. The intent was not for a fire subscription service to take anybody's voting rights away. They can still be a member. What it did say was, if you are a resident, because this board has been very conscientious, and so has the team, about serving the residents of this community. So when the membership went up last year from $12 to $35, there was that caveat, like, we want to make sure we take care of residents. So then this year, the board had the discussion with the committee and said, we're good with not raising membership, and we're not doing anything with bylaws now, but here's what we want to do as a bonus for our residents. When they pay for if they are a resident, meaning it's not rented out, meaning it's not a business, meaning it's not any of those, it's not STR, it's not a 501c3, it's not a commercial business, then we're going to throw in their subscription service for free. There's no extra cost to a resident. You pay for your membership, you keep your voting rights, you don't pay anything extra. You get the full brunt of that fire subscription discount that can go to your insurance and help you lower your insurance rate and all that. If you, like, we talked to several people who live in like Louisiana and they own an STR. They're not ever going to come here to vote. They don't come here to see their STR. So they bought the $100 STR subscription so that they can get the discount letter, so that they can have those benefits and not be charged extra when somebody leaves a campfire going at their STR. They don't want to receive those bills, and that's the benefit of the fire subscription fee and service, which is similar to what I said earlier with Perkins and Stillwater and others. And so then, if they want to be a member, they can be a member. It was our understanding that that part we had to clarify, and Daniel told us specifically we had to clarify that a resident could not get a fire subscription service without being a member. It is not a standalone product. When you're a member and you're a resident, you get both for the low cost of $35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarification. So it is my understanding, well, I guess, well, first of all, it's my understanding then if someone pays a $100 subscription fee because they own a short-term rental, and if they live in Wichita Falls, Texas, they still can vote at a meeting if they should choose to drive up here for a meeting.
No.
I would say yes, they could, and I think that's what Daniel's stance has been too. But they don't have to pay an extra $35 for it. They're paying $100, and it could be included. I asked Daniel.
Daniel, what is your take on that?
So,
Just a moment.
I think maybe the crux of the confusion here. I've seen the chart. What we probably need to do is we probably need to add some narrative to our chart so these nuances that you are going back and forth on are clarified. I think what I would say is if you are a member, meaning someone who lives there or you own property there and it's served by the association, then you are a member. Members get the right to vote according to the bylaws, right?
Right.
Hard stop. That's the answer to question number one. Question number two, which I think you guys are blending together, is what do people pay as a response fee when they receive service? That's a different question, right? You guys are allowed to set fees according to your bylaws for a response to service. How I was understanding your service, this what you call it, service fee, is you pay that, and then you're not paying those calls for service. So it's kind of like you're leveraging your risk, right? You're paying this nominal amount, and you don't have to pay the higher amount if you actually have to call 911. That's how I understand your service fees, which is why I don't view them as conflict with the right to vote. If I'm understanding it incorrectly, or if I need to clarify it with some narrative, we can do that. But that context seems to be okay with the bylaws. If you're trying to do something different, then I might have a different answer. But either way, we need to write some narrative so everyone understands this, because if you guys are struggling with it, the membership's obviously going to struggle with it too.
Don.
Yeah, well, I'm struggling with it because that's the impression that I was given at our last meeting. Maybe I misunderstood. Now, I want to be very clear. Anyone who writes a check to this fire department, regardless of other category, is automatically a voting member and has the full rights as a member of this department, regardless of state of residence, as long as we receive their money.
Daniel?
My understanding is that $35, or however you structure it, goes towards being a member, so long as you have property there or you are living there. Right.
But a $100 STR or business would not get that same vote.
I understand that you would because you
Okay,
own
that's what I'm trying to get to. Yes. So, again, the answer to my question is yes. If you write a check to this department and you pay the appropriate amount to your category, then you are a voting member.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's the only way I can see this working with your bylaws.
That's the only way I can see with the bylaws too.
Clarify that was right.
My secondary question, sir, if I may, I'm sorry, Todd. My secondary question is, as the bylaws are stated right now, that membership fee, subscription membership, which these terms are in conflict right now, but understandably why, but that number is set at $35. The current bylaws that we operate on would be the bylaws, and that would be the $35. Are we required legally, ethically I believe we are, but let's talk about legally, are we required to amend those bylaws that currently say $35 to include these two rates before we can enforce that payment?
So as I see it, you pay $35, you're a member. You go down to that membership part down here at the bottom. Sorry, on my laptop is scrolling through here. The back part is left up here. Membership.
Feel like we're going in circles.
No, sir, we are on a straight line the way I'm seeing
are.
it. No offense, but I'm
I'm sorry, guys. Just a second, Shem. Trying to get it.
I'm sorry, I keep jumping in front.
No, you're fine.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to try to read it to you correctly. So, if you go to the membership section, membership is open to residents, land, business operators within the area. So you got that checked. Individual membership is a single resident, including the outbuilding, or a business location. So, I think the point you're making is this 100 versus this 35, how does it impact the bylaw? I think, number one, if they're, sorry, what?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Can we legally charge them $100 without changing the bylaws? Yes.
Yeah, either one of these people, if you're a short-term rental person or you're a resident, your first thing you pay should be $35. I think that pays for one property. And if you've got 20 other properties, then I think that service fee thing is your other option. Now, you could just as well not pay that extra service $100, and you could just pay the calls for service if you have to call 911. That's how I see your option. First, you get a membership, and then you pay the extra thing. Otherwise, I think I would agree with you. You're raising it above the $35 for people who are falling under membership category.
Don?
But if you're a person who's got 10, and that's like, if you guys don't want to do it that way, then you guys should change it, and we can clarify it with the language. But if you've got 100 properties, are you still willing to pay 35? I don't think that makes sense. I think it's 35 plus those extra fees to get them covered for all their properties.
So a short-term rental under that analysis then would be a $135 fee.
Well, no, the first property is the 35. The first thing is 35.
So the first
And
short-term rental
would
is,
be that 100.
I do not believe that was the intent of the board. No disrespect, but I do not believe that was the intent. The intent was for the short-term rental in business would pay $100, and that a nonprofit, a 501c3, and or a resident that is not engaged in commercial activity at their business, other than selling eggs, because you need to do that right now to make a living, you would be considered to be a private residence. And I'm fine with the above. I was under the impression that there was discussion that if you did not live, so you either pay $35 if you're a house, or you pay $100 if you're an STR or a business. Hard stop. Both come with the same voting rights and privileges of being a member of this association. And I'll sit quiet.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
so the first
I think what I would
$35.
say is, hearing your discussion, why don't you let me write you up kind of a narrative, and you guys can fill in the blanks for whatever prices you want, but let me write up what would be an appropriate delineation as I read your bylaws. And then you guys can make the charge wherever you want, but let me make it really clear where those boundaries are. Because I think the problem is on the chart, as I read the chart, maybe I'm reading it differently than you. I know I'm reading it differently than what you just said, sir.
Madam Vice Chair.
You have a meeting in 7 days, right? I can have it done by then.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think that
$35 of it's your membership. 65 is the fire subscription service.
We did not take anybody's
Nobody's
membership
voting
away.
right.
Okay,
It's got
all right,
to take it
fantastic.
away. It's just that is how it's divided on our end.
So, am I correct, Mr. McClure, that you're gonna come up with a document for before our next meeting that we can fill in the blanks, because it's kind of confusing right now, and we can just have it plain, here's how much it is, everybody's gonna have a voting right, and we can move forward? Is that correct?
I would suggest that if you guys, the board's cool with that, let me make it really clear with no ambiguity, and you guys can plug the numbers in and sing Kumbaya.
Perfect.
Need a motion?
Sorry, Mr. Chapman, a point of order.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so that was,
Need a motion.
okay.
Do we have to change the bylaws to say that in order to be able to charge these fees? That is also my fundamental question. The bylaws currently say $35. In order for us legally to charge someone $100, Mr. McClure, do we need to change the bylaws? And if we do, sir, we need to be very clear on, for me, and I'm sorry if the rest of you don't understand it, what the process is, because I don't quite have a grasp on what we go through to change those bylaws.
So, first part of your question, a person or an entity owns a piece of property, okay? They can become a member if that property is one covered in your bylaws, okay? That's really clear, it's $35. And the question is, what are we gonna, that person's a member now, okay? How are we handling service fees and calls for service? Those are fees that cover calls for service. That is different from membership. So if I call you guys out today, you all respond to a call at my house. I'm covered, that's my house, that's my resident, it's covering my membership. The question then becomes, how are we gonna handle if a person owns 100 properties? Are you gonna charge them for a call for service? Again, this isn't with a membership, it's a call for service. And that's what a membership do. You guys are allowed to set service fees. You guys are gonna need to clarify when you want someone to pay service fees, or sorry, calls for service fees or not. That's the question. And it's getting blurred with membership, and it shouldn't. And so I'm gonna make it very clear on that document. This is membership, these are the calls for service fees. And that's how it works everywhere. If you're a city or whatever, 911 rolls up on a call, there's a call for service fee. That's what we need to clearly delineate.
And who would be exempt from those fees, which would be a nonprofit and a resident?
Yeah, and then you guys can make these exemptions, and one of the exemptions that sounds like has been proposed is you pay this service fee, and it's $100. You pay that service fee for that property, and then if 911 gets called out to the house, you're not paying that really big fee because you chose to pay that small service fee. But you're leveraging your potential liability. Almost like an insurance policy. That's where fees, kind of like an insurance policy.
All right, that's the first time it has made sense to me, which is no one's fault but mine. And thank you for clarifying. So I understand what we're going to do to make that work. There will be a waiver. Everyone is subject to the service fees except those that are exempted, and these are the issues these are the titles that are exempted, and I'm fine with that.
Correct, 100%. You've got 100%. That's in my mind. That's what you guys are doing.
That's
so if
what
I
we
was
do.
wrong, then I made it in. That's why I think that part's legal. How you just described it.
And that keeps us legal within the bylaws, and that's what I'm trying to get us to, is to do that. So, okay, thank you, sir.
So that takes us.
Do we need to accept that into the record?
Daniel, did you say you could possibly have that ready by the next meeting?
I can assure you, as passionate as you guys have been as a community, I will have it ready for next meeting because I'm going to get you taken care of.
You're the man, Daniel. You're the man.
That's next week, you know, is that right?
You realize that's next week, right?
I understand. I'll work so that we can get it done.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good deal. I was reading that again. Okay, so we're gonna move right along and we're gonna go to 5B.
Madam Chair, point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all need to make a motion and table it, or make a motion and authorize him?
Well, on 5I, it was a presentation only.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so now we're moving along to 5. I'm sorry, Daniel, go
I don't
ahead.
know, what's next on the agenda?
5B.
Oh, I don't understand. Tell me what that says. I'm sorry.
Discussion and consideration and possible action, membership voting rights, subscription fees, and fee for service. So this is where we need
Oh, okay.
to make that decision.
Yeah. And it sounds like you want to just refer that to your attorney, that'd be me, to give you a draft for the next meeting, is that right?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we refer that to the attorney. He's gonna come up with a draft for us to adjust at the next regular meeting. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call vote, Johnese,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes?
Shane, yes, Greg,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
motion passed.
You moved up, Greg.
I forgot the name, I'm sorry.
Okay, moving along to 5A. Discussion and consideration and possible action on establishing a policy for board member inquiries of the board attorney and establishing a policy for assigning tasks to the board attorney.
Okay, if I may just tee this one up for you real quick. This is another topic that I'm just trying to be respectful of your budget. What I do with my other clients is before they send something to me, they discuss it as a board, and the board decides to send it to me. That way we've all decided to do it. One variant I have on that sometimes is the board lets the chairperson send me something if it's kind of an emergency. But I need something from you guys, because I don't know. I have so much work from you guys right now. I'm happy to do it all. I kind of feel bad if I get you a big bill unless I know all of y'all want to do it. So I'm looking for your feedback, and we'll get a policy.
So I would like to propose, several of the board members here have already their liaisons with Board of County Commissioners, with the township, whatnot. I currently don't have anything. I would be more than happy to, anytime this board would like a communication gone to the lawyer, I will send exactly what this board wants, and then I would ask the attorney to reply to all board members in response. I'm more than happy to take that on.
So am I understanding you right, Daniel, that you want everything to go, before we can reach out to you, we have to go through the attorney, through the board and let the board send it?
I'm up for whatever. I want to know really one of two things. One answer is, Daniel, if a board member sends you a question, you answer it and you send it to all of us. That's fine. That's going to be a higher bill because all of you can ask questions whenever you wanted to. And I'm fine with that. Option two is you go to a board meeting and you all vote, should we spend money asking Daniel to write this up and research this? It's really two options. So,
And I'm saying I agree with option two, and I'm volunteering to be that point of contact.
okay, so you're saying option two, the board meets.
Well, that's just my opinion.
You send it to me.
Yes, sir,
Yeah, I
that's my
understand.
opinion.
I got you.
Do we have a motion on the floor, or are we still, where are we on this?
I think you're still in discussion.
Okay, all right. Can I, my motion would be that we separate the issues of who that were discussion and agreement to contact legal counsel and seek written opinions, no verbal opinions expressed. This is what the lawyer said in this meeting, and we have it in writing before it is discussed. That's my motion.
I second that motion.
And let me make sure I'm understanding this right. That anytime, any clarification on my part, anybody wants to contact the attorney, they have to go through you to do it.
No, ma'am. The
That is
board
not my motion.
decides as a group to contact the attorney, but I, as the person that sends the email, I would be the one that sends the question that we as a group decide to Mr. McClure, and then Mr. McClure would answer to everybody.
Okay.
Nobody would reach out to the attorney without talking to the rest of the board members.
Okay, so that is, Don, that's your motion.
And point of clarification, my motion is not to designate who that contact is. My motion at this point is to establish the procedure for how that works. And once we're in agreement on that procedure, then if that passes, then I'm proposing that we move on to who the POC is.
Okay,
So my
that's
motion
your
does not include a person of record to be the point of contact, to be clear.
Okay. And you seconded that, Todd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Todd's second. We have a roll call vote. Johnese, no. Shane,
No.
Dawn,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Greg. Okay.
What was the vote on that?
It was 2 no, 3 yes.
Okay. And the only thing I need to clarify on that is that I think that motion to be for writing a legal opinion. How do you all want to handle just, I have a question, someone has a question on the procedure or the process that they can do something. Are you okay with them calling about procedure and process without it being a legal opinion? Or and sometimes they might say, hey, Daniel, what's the process for doing this? Or can I go do X, Y, Z? It's not a legal opinion. I don't care the answer to that question. I just want to know, is that for everything, what you just made the motion for, or just for legal opinion?
Dawn,
And I'm sorry, I have not read, I mean, I have, but I haven't committed to memory our letter of engagement. How is your billing established in terms of questions, procedural questions versus the time it takes to research and write a legal opinion? Is there a billing differentiation?
No, it's all the same billing. I guess I'll give you an example of, like on this bylaw, on these fees you just give me, right? I'm going to do research, I'm going to read your bylaws, I'll write you an opinion with all the answer and make you a document. That's different than when you pick up the phone and say, hey, Daniel, what's the hour requirement for a special meeting? Is it 48 hours or 24 hours? And I say, oh, it's just 48 hours. That's just process stuff. And what might do is maybe you have one contact for that as well, or not, or anyone can call. I want to make sure I'm doing what you want me to do.
So, well, I'm sorry.
I'll wait.
So, Mr. McClure, because of our budget and the budget constraints and how much money, my suggestion would be to, what you suggested before, the option B of we as a board all talk together and we decide any questions. Outside of that, for at least the next month, while we get through all this mess, we don't want a bunch of different people firing you questions because we have so many differences of opinions. Let's consolidate. This board will have to talk with each other and say, here's the question to ask Mr. McClure. I think financially wise, that's the best way to go.
And that's why I wanted to clarify with all this, because I want to make sure you guys are on the same page. So great, I know the rule now. I'm going to follow the rule. My takeaway is I have 2 assignments. One is the one that you just given me on the service fees opinion. And then the second thing is I'm communicating with the town on the potential collaboration efforts. So if there's anything else or if I'm misunderstanding, let me know, but that's my two marching orders as I understand them.
okay, any more questions? Greg, anything?
No.
So we've established then, okay, so Mr. McClure then indicated that there may be a subvariant to a subcategory to what we were just talking about. So do we need to take an action on, can anybody just question him? Or where are we on that? Is that a motion you just made? That it follows everything, all communications with legal counsel follow that procedure? I'm just trying to figure out where we are.
From my understanding, that's what it passed 3-2. That's the direction we were going to go.
Okay, and then Mr. McClure asked a subsequent question. Does that apply only to legally written opinions, or is that anytime someone has a procedural question for the board?
Oh, okay. You're right. Then I'm making the motion that it applies to everything, all questions. Only one question is sent through one point of contact to the attorney. At least we can always change this in a few months, but for now, let's consolidate everything so we're not going broke. Only one point of contact sends questions to the attorney, and he replies to everybody. That's as fair as I can make it. So that we're not worried about somebody going behind somebody's back and talking to the attorney. If the whole board has to approve it, there's nothing worried. It's all out in the open and transparent.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
5D, yes.
There's a motion on the floor, ma'am.
So we added another motion to 5A?
Yes, it's my understanding that in answering Mr. McClure's question, which I think we need to clarify, and I'm not speaking, I'm not a lawyer, don't even try to be one, but in my opinion...
No, I think he's spot on. His motion is, does that apply to all communications? So yeah, you can take a vote on that, and then we'll have a rule.
Okay, thank you. You have the motion then, yes, ma'am.
Second? Do I have a second?
Sure.
Pilot survey or pilot survey.
Okay, we have a roll call vote. John East? No. Shane?
No.
Dawn?
I'm gonna vote no on this right now.
Thank you.
Todd?
Yes.
Greg?
Aye.
What? Greg? Yes. Okay, motion fails.
Okay, so if that motion fails, then I understand the policy to be for legal opinions, you all will use a point of contact, send them to me. And since the motion fails, you all could call me for policy questions, but they're not going to be used as a legal opinion because all legal opinions to be used by the board will be placed in writing. That's my understanding of the rule, and I will put it in writing and send it out to all of you next couple of days.
Okay,
I want to be very clear on this, that any response you make will go to all board members in the form of an email. If an individual asks a question, then we don't know what the question and answer was. Okay, that's fine.
What was that last part you cut out? I'm sorry, sir.
Well, if someone calls you and says anything and you respond to them, you will not give that answer in writing to all board members, only respond to that board member that inquired.
Is that a question or is that what you want the policy to be?
That is a question as you understand our policy, or I understand your procedure to be.
Okay. So my understanding of your motion was for any legal opinions that would be in writing by board request. Since the second motion failed, you guys can call and ask me a question, but you make a great point. Does everyone get the follow-up? And we should probably talk about that now so we can all be on the same page.
Yes.
I got it both ways. I can send a generic email to everyone. Hey, everyone, I got a question today about the Open Meetings Act. How many hours required for this? The answer is X. Send. I can do that with a generic answer to everyone. That's fine. That's what you want to do. If not, we can just talk on the phone. If you guys give me some feedback on that, I'd like to get this all nailed down so we know the rules we're living by.
Madam Chair, may I? My intent is not to chill the direct contact if you have a procedural question, but in order to make sure that we're all on the same page, I have no problem with individual board meeting making a call, asking a question. I, however, would motion that, would move that all responses on the attorney to questions, legally binding opinion as well as just answers to procedural, so we're all on the same page. We all may have the same question, that we receive that answer in writing. That's my motion.
I second that motion.
John East? No. Shane?
No.
Dawn?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Greg?
Nope.
Motion fails.
All right. Well, I think I know where we're at then. I think that's all you had for me on the agenda. Is there anything else lingering for me? Otherwise, I got to go pick up from school. I just got a text message.
So I guess I have a question now, Mr. McClure. If I call you and ask you a question, and you're just going to give me an answer and not reply to the rest of the board, is the conversation you and I have a private, protected conversation just between you and I, or are you going to share what I've shared with other board members?
As a general practice, I don't like to do, hey, Joey just called me and this is what I told Joey.
Exactly.
I answer the question you asked me. If someone else calls and asks a question, the problem kind of puts me as a lawyer. And I think this probably maybe a little bit to the previous issue you had. If you call and ask me a question, it's very nuanced, and someone else calls and asks me a question, it's also nuanced. It's very well maybe the same topic, and you guys may be seeing that topic differently. That's why I was wanting to nail down how you want to handle this. Because just quite frankly, I don't like to be the lawyer in the situation of you having a meeting and I'm in the newspaper quoted as I told one person one thing and someone else the other thing. I don't want to get in that practice, and I'm not going to get in that practice. That's why I'm trying to nail down how we're handling communication.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, Daniel, if you've got just 1 second.
Yeah, but let me say one more thing on that topic before we break up here. I would just suggest that, I know you guys are in a very contentious time right now. I would just say, if you're at a point where you need an opinion on something and you need to talk about it at a board meeting, and you call and ask for advice, you need to find a way that we're going to circulate that. because I don't want you to say, hey, this is what the lawyer told me. So if you're looking for something like that where you want to use it as an opinion, then you should just tell me on the phone. That way I can email everyone. Hey, I think everyone might be confused about this. Can you email everyone? I can't reiterate enough. I do not want to be in the spot where we're trying to pit the lawyer against other people. I want to answer everyone and give you good advice.
Okay. Okay,
What was
so,
the question? I'm sorry.
so we have a next one on the 5D before we let you go. It's discussion and consideration and possible action concerning the scheduling of the meeting with the town representatives. My take on this,
Well-
go ahead.
Okay. Well, I might suggest, since the attorney reached out to me this morning, we talked on the phone for the town. I have a good relationship with him. I know him a long time. I would just suggest if I can give him a call on Monday or Tuesday, maybe we can just flush out all the options, and then that way when you meet next week, I can give you everything that we can possibly hypothesize.
Okay.
And maybe we could get all that on the table before we have the meeting.
Okay. Okay. So we're just gonna, I can just go ahead and make the motion to let you to let the attorney set that up and take care of that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So the motion on the floor is to let, the attorney contact the, city of Hochatown to see if we can come into an agreement.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call vote, Johnese,
Yes.
Shane, yes, Don,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Greg,
What was the vote on that?
It was
it
a
was passed.
motion carries.
Okay. Was it 5-0?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Well, I will get a hold of him in the next couple of days. We'll have a talk. I'll get the stuff together for you. And for first, I'm really looking forward to keep working with you guys. I think you guys have such a cool opportunity to get stuff done and for your community. So I'm happy to be a part of it. I'll get you guys some documents together and sent over. If there's no more questions, I'll hop off.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. We appreciate all your time. Have a great evening.
Absolutely. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, so 5N. So when looking at this agenda, the 5N, we're going to, let's see here. Update on the status with the presentation of previous approvals for purchase up to $250,000 with the Keto grant for new equipment to lower ISO rating. Chad, update on that Keto grant?
Which one? The one that we have received?
Hmm?
Which, there are two different ones.
Let me find it here. Presentation of previous approvals for purchase up to $250,000 Keto grant for new equipment to lower ISO rating.
If that was in reference to the one that was the matching of up to 25,000 reimbursement grant that we were looking at tanker, is that the one? I guess I'm not sure.
I don't,
We have received that grant,
Uh-huh.
and we were waiting for the board to make a move on, we've already turned in what we were looking for, but, waiting for financing information,
so we're just waiting, correct?
waiting for the board to do financing
Okay. Crystal?
options.
Okay, just waiting, okay.
Yes, ma'am. So in the past minutes, the previous board approved to go and get a loan to go with the grant, but someone from the board, because the board is turned over, someone from the board has to be appointed to go to the bank, fill out the loan paperwork, and encumber the county funds for the repayment, because it's not an individual that sets that up.
Right.
Jimmy is actually the one to speak to that, because they just did that at Holly Creek, and he can give y'all more information on Jimmy
Okay.
and Michelle on that process.
Okay, so that's gonna kind of lead us into, O as well, because of O is the discussion and action for the loan of the new equipment to lower. So that, it kind of goes along with 5N there. Okay, so Jimmy, you wanna inform us on how you handled that process?
Well, our chairman went to the bank
Okay.
and got a approval from the bank
Okay.
for whatever we were looking at, then we had to go through the process of approval from the commissioners. And then we got the launch.
Okay.
And then, well, I pay it out of county funds, you get a bank book, just like you was going to buy a car.
Okay.
You get a bank book and
Uh-huh.
you pay it like that.
Okay. Okay. So we need, since that is already a done deal, we need to just appoint someone that's going to go to the bank and see this completely through. That's what I'm understanding, right?
They have to sign the
Right.
lease note on it.
Right. Okay. So,
May I ask
Don,
a question, ma'am?
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I was not sitting on that board. These funds, first of all, as I understand it, they are paid for by the county funds. And so the repayment of this loan is tied to those funds.
Yes, the bank will loan the money to you.
Based
For the
on,
county.
based on our contract with the county. If those loans go in default, for whatever reason, I'm just saying, county all of a sudden makes a changing on the funding formulation or whatever, then who is liable for the repayment of that balance, as you understand it, Jimmy?
We've never had.
I don't really know.
The individual assigned it?
The way I kinda understand how the people that sign the note is more or less.
I don't want that
for the fire department
responsibility.
position
Something
to be.
Well, your
goes
chief
south.
has to sign it also.
Right? I don't want that.
okay.
And to understand what I'm asking is, I mean, we're literally in a point of transition and things are going on. I just need to know in the event that my experience isn't rely on third parties. We're only as good as that money coming in from the third party, and it seems to be, I'm assuming it's a fairly large number with several zeros in it. We're borrowing?
You talking about for the county funding?
No, what we're
I believe in the
borrowing.
past that a commissioner or representative from the county would be the one to sign.
They would sign off as the guarantor.
Yes.
Okay.
As a responsibility of the.
Okay, hold up one second. Hold up. Crystal?
So it's guaranteed by your tax dollars. The law for the tax dollars is that money is equally divided between all of the fire departments in the county. So the money that's coming in, the only way that would change with the money coming in here is if we weren't here and we weren't getting that fund and it was redistributed or reassigned to someone else. But the money does fluctuate each month because it's based on taxes, right? It's based on, so that tax money is divided. So 1 month your income may come in at $6,200, and during the summer months, because of tourism, it comes in and the payment might be $8,900. So they look at all of those financials, and then once y'all get paperwork done, it has to be signed off by the county. It has to follow their processes before they approve it, and then that money is earmarked out of your accounts to make sure you pay it, but it still falls back to the fire department.
Fill out a PO every month.
Yeah, you have to turn it in every month. But it's gonna be county's equipment whenever you borrow from the bank. It's
Right.
not Hochatown's fire department
Right.
stuff.
That's what I was getting at is, so it.
But it's
That's
county.
right.
Equipment will belong to county.
County.
Yes, sir.
Just pay the
Okay.
county.
Yes.
I just want to be clear that if my motion is to allow the treasurer to go in and sign that she has no personal liability or exposure on a document. Okay, that's even worse. Now, even more. So,
You in?
well, that's even more because I know I'm the number 2 signer on the deal. So my question is, and so we have no personal liability. All we're doing is affirming that our board has agreed to allow us to do it.
That is correct.
And allowing the firefighter.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm just making sure where the liability lies if this if something gets south.
Yeah, I signed orders, I didn't want to do it, I was fine.
Well, there you go.
Did you
I
bail
don't
out,
have any
Jimmy?
room at my house for
And I missed the payment, boy, he's gonna be in trouble.
Okay. All right. So on 5-0,
Did that board approve how much money? I'm sorry, I'm in the dark on this.
up to
$250,000, right? That was how much we're gonna borrow, not how much we're given on the grant. Yeah, okay.
Would you like me to read the actual?
Yes,
what it
please.
says? Okay. Discussion and possible action to purchase additional truck not to exceed $450,000 was one of the motions, and the loan amount to not be more than $250,000 was an additional one, because they were looking at trying to get a grant that would, if they were going above $250,000, they would get a grant for that. And we do have some grants that can work with this loan, but the loan not to exceed $250,000.
Or we could just let the city of Hochatown buy it for us.
All right, Mr. Chairman, my motion would be that we approve the signing of loan documents to allow staff to proceed with the KEDDO grant, following the guidelines established by the previous knowledgeable board, and that loan should not exceed $250,000. And you're welcome to go sign it twice if you want.
Oh no, if I'm in, you're in. Okay, so that is your motion, can I tweak it?
You can do whatever you want, you're the chairman.
Let me ask you, when we go in to do that and set that forth, that's gotta be done pretty quick. So, is it okay if we add a member of the staff to go with us that is familiar with that KEDO grant, that both of us, since we're not?
Oh, no, I don't care. I'm just saying, I'm authorizing our board to go do it. You can bring anybody, we can bring anybody else we want along.
Okay, okay,
Ma'am, can I speak as a previous banker?
okay.
Your bank is going to want to know what you're doing with those funds, the specific piece of equipment you're going to purchase.
Yes,
And they're gonna
yes.
need an exact dollar amount.
Yes, yes, we understand that, yes.
You're not gonna go get a $250,000 loan.
Y'all, come on, the light was on when I was born at night,
Okay,
okay?
all right, so we're not going down next week and signing these papers, what I'm hearing. We don't have, do we have the equipment identified?
No, you're gonna go tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
They're waiting on us. We called ahead.
What you're doing is you're going
Whoa, point of order.
May I clarify? Maybe this will help. What you're going to do is, the department will look for these vehicles.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna buy 250, it's gonna come in way under that. Once we have that pre-authorizing a loan, you won't actually have a loan
That's what I
payment until you actually have
Exactly.
the exact one picked out.
Get an LLC.
But you have to get this process started to, take to the commissioner.
Okay, my motion stands as written, or
Okay.
as presented.
Okay, I'll second that. Roll call. Johnny's, yes. Shane?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Todd?
No.
Greg?
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Motion carries. Okay. We got one. So on to 5P. So that is discussion related to the purchase of land for a second station approved by the previous board for the ISO rating. So I've been told that this is Chad and Marcus.
That land was, one that we have somebody looking into, donating, like on a long-term lease.
Okay?
And they said it could take up to a year and a half before it comes through their approval process, so we're not even close to that.
Okay, so we just don't need no action on that
No
then?
action.
No action on it then. Okay. Okay, so we have 5H. Discussion and possible action related to the public relations, social media posts by board members and presentation by board members at BOCC, town, or other public meetings.
So does this, for the discussion part of this, doesn't it kind of tie back into our code of conduct that we're gonna work on? Because in that code of conduct that we're gonna work on, it addresses all those social media posts and everything. Once we once we approve that code of conduct, that should take care of item H, correct?
I'm reading it, hold on, I'm reading it.
Yeah, no
again.
problem.
Discussion and possible action related to relation to social media posts. I don't, okay, am I wrong? I'm reading it that it's discussion and possible action related to the public relations social media post that is just currently happened? Am I reading that?
Yeah, I think what's going on with the public, with putting out stuff on Facebook that's misinformation and just total garbage is hurting the department, it's hurting the firefighters, and it needs to be accounted for. I mean, you're talking about transparency, well then, here's your transparency. I mean, everybody needs to be held accountable for their actions. I think it's doing a huge disservice for this community to jump on Facebook and talk garbage and whatever. I mean, it's childish.
I agree
We're here,
completely.
I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
We're here to do business and to take care of these firefighters and to provide for this community, and to jump on Facebook and call names and make assumptions and throw out misinformation and garbage. It's ridiculous. We can't run like this. So yeah, there's going to have to be held accountability. In fact, if we can get the documents, I'd prefer to make a motion to send those to the Attorney General's office for further investigation, since it involves not only the department but evidently the town as well.
So,
Madam Chair, I have a question.
go ahead.
Thank you. I agree completely with what Mr. Collette just said. I would also ask that our Citizens Advisory Committee, which is a subcommittee of this board, would have to follow the exact same procedure. Ms. Joslin is on the Citizens Advisory Committee, which is a subcommittee of this board, and all of those posts that she has made as a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee would be held to the same standard that this board is held to.
Okay, so actually, when we're discussing H right now, we're actually discussing that what is actually
Posted.
happened, and so we haven't gotten quite to what you just said yet.
He was talking about the public post. I'm talking about the public post, just same thing.
Okay, so,
Ask a question now?
mm-hmm.
Do you have a motion? I'm sorry, Shane. Did you make a motion?
Yeah, I want to send all this information
Okay,
to the Attorney General.
Okay, so my point of order is, before we have a motion on the floor, and I'm just trying to make sure that motion, you did not get ignored. Okay.
Okay. So my motion on the floor is,
Send all documents to the Attorney General's office.
I will second that motion.
to the Attorney General's office. Okay, okay, Johnny's, yes. Shane?
Yes.
Don?
No.
Todd?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, since we're on this, still on this, since this motion is carried and we're still on this concerning the documents going to the Attorney General's office, I just want to make it clear where this board member stands. I thought I had made it clear, but apparently I haven't. Or we're just not getting it. I think it's the second one, but anyway. My first and foremost responsibility is to do what is best for this town, for these citizens, not this town as a city town, but for these residents and these tourists that come in here. This could have been and should have been an easy fix. But instead, it's been chosen to make it hard. We don't really have a transparency issue. The transparency has been very, very, very clear. But I think what we have is a cooperation issue, according to the previous mayor. That if we all would cooperate, she could have done this 2 years ago when she started. There are ways to fix this, with us working together to fix it. This fire department has no issues working to fix this issue. I have no issues. But I think what the situation is that because we have flat out refused to cooperate and be bullied into a situation that is so out of control, it's humorous if it wasn't so pathetic. For 2 years, we have been fought in this fire department to take it over. Instead of sitting down and discussing with us, and when these firemen did sit down and sign this mutual of understanding, tried to come to terms, they were told no, because by one trustee that they wanted full control. Do you realize, and this is through conversation.
Point of order, ma'am. What does this have to do with the topic?
Excuse me?
We have to stay on the agenda item.
I am on the agenda item.
Cooperation with the town. We're talking about
I
public
am.
board members making.
I'm stating where I stand right here, and I want it known.
Okay, but that's not what this agenda item is. It's not Janice's opinion. It's talking about social media posts and presentation by board members. If you'd like to call the attorney and ask him, that's fine, but that's the agenda item, not your opinion. I'm sorry, but that's the agenda
And yet
item.
you were given the freedom to speak. So when I
spoke on this agenda item.
Okay, hold on 1 second. When I let you speak a while ago, and how you didn't stay on your topic, set the precedence for this meeting.
There's the Robertson's rule of conduct that we go by our bylaws that the attorney said we have to follow, says you have to follow the agenda item.
That opened the door. That does open the door for
I
comments.
So we can just talk about whatever we want? I'm just asking.
You open the door.
Okay, so from here, moving forward, I'm asking, are any of us
Can I
allowed to
just
just talk
finish?
about whatever we want?
No, I'm saying you open the door for her to say what she needs to say, just like you were given the opportunity to say what you needed to say. So therefore, you've opened the door for that.
And when she's done, would somebody else be able to give them the same opportunities? All I'm asking. Are you gonna be able to talk freely also, Shane?
Yeah,
Will Don be able to talk?
because it says right there my name's on the agenda, so yeah, I'll be able to talk freely.
Okay.
I would love to sit down with this city and come to terms on something. But it's really, really hard to work with someone that you cannot trust and have proven it over and over. So I am for trying to sit down and discuss what is best for this tourism and these citizens up here, contrary to social book, Facebook media, and comments. I'm all for that. We have an opportunity of a lifetime to set the example on how this could run and how this could be, with a city-owned fire department and a county-owned fire department setting and working together for what is best for this town and this fire district. And for some reason, we just can't seem to get past the egos. I would like nothing more to be able to go into that city council office and sit down with some trustees and say, let's see what we can come to terms with. It would have been a lot easier and would have looked a whole lot better than the smear campaign on Facebook.
I think with J and K, that we should put a letter together from the board to the public stating our intentions. If we're gonna always talk about total transparency, and let's set the record straight, I think we should come up with a letter addressing the public and moving forward if we're gonna be so transparent with all our details and opinions.
Is that a motion, Shane?
Yeah, I think a letter to the public would be something that is desperately needed because there's so much back and forth and back deals and everything else right now. I think a letter to the public, giving her clarity of where we stand.
The problem with that, I agree completely. I would love for this board to put out a letter. The problem is, part of the board wants 2 fire stations, and part of the board wants one big, beautiful fire station.
Dawn.
Okay.
Recognizing Shane's motion on the floor to craft a letter from this board of directors to our membership, I'll be willing to second and support that with the understanding that we do not craft that letter today, that we enter into a future discussion.
Oh, yeah.
And this board have ample opportunity to not overcome, but at least everyone has the say of where we go and what we do with that.
I agree.
Okay, I'm not opposed to doing this. I am cautious of the process, and that's all I'm
I
asking.
think that's something we all need to sit down and come together with, so absolutely.
Then I will second your motion as made.
So do we combine J and K, in your opinion?
Could we have the motion read back out so I make sure I understand it, please?
I was confused on J and K anyway. I had assumed they were the same thing, so I'm
I'm on this, guys.
I think Lynn was talking about the letter, and then if we did decide it, then coming up with a letter, but.
Okay.
You could.
All right, when is discussion? Yeah, I'm fine. My motion amended then will be to include J and K. I will second your motion that we begin the process through this board of creating a public statement to our membership on the position of the board that we want to move forward to. And I'm going to just point of privilege here, say I think that is critical in order for the committee that we appointed to go in and meet with anybody at the city level. I think it is critical that we as a board have established what that policy is in order to guarantee that whatever that discussion is represents what we want to do. I think that has to be done, and I wanted to get with that with Mr. McClure, but my intent would be that that gets done before any meeting occurs, so we know exactly what we are talking about. Does that make sense?
But we just approved for Mr. McClure to start talks with that city attorney already, correct?
I got a board meeting in 7 days. I mean,
Right.
I don't see.
Yeah, but I mean, we've already authorized Mr. McClure to talk to the city
I
attorney.
understand. To
Okay.
begin to set up a meeting, not
Okay.
to negotiate. They're going to talk about options. All we have to do is not have to. I just think we as a board need to come together and make a public statement in order to empower you folks to go into that meeting and speak on our behalf. Because I'm quite certain that the town of Hochatown, those trustees are going to have that conversation and coalesce around multiple options, and I would not limit it to an option that we have. So I just think we need to do what we need to do, get our position out, know where we're going, and go do it. That's my motion.
Okay. So you were a second to that?
I'm seconding his motion, yes.
Okay, I got that. Johnny's, yes. Shane?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Again, can you read the motion for me so I make sure I understand it?
The motion on the floor was to create a letter to the public, to craft a letter to the public, to our membership, in letting them know our position as a board. Is that right, Dawn?
Yeah, to clarify position on the future of the Hochatown Volunteer Fire Department.
But the letter was gonna be created with all of our input.
We're going to discuss it at the next board meeting, because I'm hoping we can
Yes.
still get it on the agenda.
That's my
intent.
understanding.
We're not doing a thing here tonight.
We're
other
not saying,
than-
we're not sending a letter out
No.
in the next few days.
That is my clarification.
Okay.
No.
That, yeah, I vote yes.
We're going to sit down and talk.
No, we're gonna deal with it.
Todd?
Yes.
Greg?
Oh, lost me, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was that one. Okay, so on, 5R,
Whatever happened to H? That's what started this whole thing.
we just come off of J
Got
and,
something at the house.
Just did that, sending all documents to the Attorney General.
yeah, we just
Okay.
come off of J and K.
Perfect, all right, thank you, sorry.
Thank you.
On 5R, I would just, I'm gonna put a motion out there to take no action on that at the moment. Discussion and consideration and possible action approval of the 3/27/25 minutes for the special meeting.
Where are those minutes?
They're not finished yet.
For that reason,
I'll have them next week.
that's fine. For that reason, I will be happy to second that motion that we put it off.
Yeah, I'll have them next week.
Johnny?
Understood.
Yes. Shane?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Okay. Number 6, there is no executive session. Number 7 is vote to recess. I make a motion to recess.
Second?
I'm sorry, to adjourn at 3:47. Have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Johnny's, yes. Shane?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Greg?
Good Lord, yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're adjourned at 3:47.
That was
We
language
made-
when I sat down. I don't know
Yes,
whose it is.
we have a donation check.
No, if I can get out of
Is it a membership or is it a
Secretary,
donation?
it's a membership, it's
Okay.
$35.
All right, those are different things.
Mr. Collette, what do I do with this membership donation check from us? Somebody handed it up here.
Johnny's.
It needs to go to Chad so he can, record everything, and then he rolls it
Is
to
there
me
an
to
application with
deposit.
it? Is there an application with it?
Does there need to be an application with
And he
this?
will handle that. If there's not one, he will
Okay.
handle that and make sure they fill one out.
Okay.
So it may have to be held until it is filled out by
Okay,
them.
thank you.
I know who poured the concrete on the building. I know who built that damn hall. It wasn't the county commissioners, I'll promise you that.
Leroy.